Alright, so while I'm waiting for the gaskets, I went ahead and cleaned all the gasket surfaces, removed all the gaskets, scraped it off for a nice clean surface for reassembly. And what I didn't videotape me scraping the gaskets off, but what I like to use is a razor blade, and I try to hold it as flat as possible. Don't gouge the aluminum, and I try to slice at a 45-degree angle, like so. Sometimes if you go like this and you put too much pressure, then you might catch an edge, and you definitely don't want to scratch the aluminum. So just go slowly and make sure everything's clean. Alright, so I'm going to set the valve lash with the head on the table. It's easier for you to see on video, and it's just easier altogether. Now if you're doing this in the engine, or with it fully assembled, make sure you roll the motor over to top dead center, and that'll be denoted by this circle pointing to this little arrow. Okay, and what that does basically is puts the camshaft at the bottom of the eccentric, so there's zero lift. Okay, now to check the valve lash, I believe it's 2 thousandths on the intake, 3 on the exhaust. You're going to want a feeler gauge set. What I have here is a 3 thou gauge, and what you want to do is put it in between the adjuster screw and valve stem. So right there. What you want to do is feel a little bit of drag on the feeler gauge, and what I like to do is move this up and down and make sure there's zero lash. So this one's pretty good. I get a little drag. This is within spec. Now on this side, it was actually tight. I couldn't get a feeler gauge in there. I couldn't shake it, so there was zero lash. There was preload on the valve, which is not a good situation. So what I've done is I backed it off. It's nice and loose, and we're going to go ahead and adjust this. Let me just find the correct feeler gauge here. Alright, I actually took it out of the set for another job, or for another bike. See, I put a little bend in it. So sometimes if you're adjusting valves and you can't get to it, see, as you can see, it just slides right under. By the way, this is the exhaust. You can see that this is the exhaust port, and here's where the carb goes, so this is the intake. So go ahead and slide it under. Tighten the adjuster. Got a little drag in there. And as you tighten it, you're probably going to tighten it up. Actually, that feels pretty good. It's a little loose still, so we'll back it off. It's too tight. It's too tight. What happens is when you tighten the lock nut, the adjuster moves as well. So it's a little tight. Sometimes it takes several tries here. Kind of have to compensate, leave it a little loose, and as you tighten this up, that's good right there. So 2 thou on the intake, 3 on the exhaust. Just going to double check everything. Make sure everything's tight. Alright. Alright, so I ordered a gasket set from I believe CRF50.com or minis.com or something. It's an 88 gasket kit. Comes with circlips and everything, I hope. That's what it said on the website. So let's open this thing up. Alright, so I'm going to put this on first here. Let's see. Looks like the wrong gasket. Alright, this one looks like it'll fit better. Alright, so these are 8mm bolts. Alright, next I'm going to replace the O-rings here on these valve tappet caps and also clean them out, maybe with some carb clean. So to replace these O-rings, I just like to use a little pick. Just dig it right out. Don't poke yourself. Okay, screw those on. $17 mil. Alright, that head is ready to go back on. Alright, so I have the gasket surface all clean. Ready to put the piston back on. So always a tip, always put one circlip in on the piston so you don't have to put both of them on. When it's on the motor, you can at least put one on in the bench. So this one's installed. I have the wrist pin halfway in. The rings are on and the gaps are 1/20 of each other. This is a used piston, this is a used kit. I scraped some of the carbon off. Here it says EX, so that's exhaust. It points straight down. So this is how it gets installed. Alright, push the wrist pin all the way in. I'll bring the camera over here and we can put the circlip in. Alright, these are always fun to put in. Try to keep your thumb over it in case it flings out. Alright, once it's snapped in the groove, I like to rotate it just to make sure it's good. Looks good to me. It's fully seated. Ready to put the base gasket on and the cylinder. Alright, so let's put the base gasket on. Put the chain through the slot. Remember, there's 2 dowel pins, one here and one here, so that goes on the cylinder as well. Alright, and then this little rubber O-ring goes down here, and I'm going to use a little dab of grease just to hold it in place. Alright, next we got our cylinder. Remember, right here, dowel pins. Alright, and then just squeeze the rings with your fingers here. Barely have to squeeze it, it'll go in. Alright, and I didn't put any oil on it. I'll put some oil on it once we get this seated. So put your chain through. Alright, push the cylinder all the way down.